This is KSQD. Henry Cowell Redwoods State Park recently underwent a spring cleaning. For the first time since 2010, piles of fallen branches were set on fire as a part of prescribed burn within the old-growth grove of coastal redwood trees. Elissa Welle brings you this story.
On a Friday morning in April, a group gathers outside the visitor center in Henry Cowell Redwoods State Park. Each of the 10 or so people are wearing lawn pants and hiking boots, but they're not going for a hike. Instead, these park volunteers are heading into the forest. At the base of towering coastal redwood trees, the volunteers will don work gloves and build 6-foot-high piles of fallen tree limbs and branches. Dylan McManus, the park interpreter at Henry Cowell leading the team, is hoping the group can build 6 more this morning. That'll bring their total number of piles to over 50.
Here we go. I'm going to place 1 over here, 2 over here. So in and around the wonder tree and then in and around the goose pen.
In a few weeks, all these piles will go up in flames. But that's the point. These piles are meant for a prescribed burn taking place in Henry Cowell State Park. Naturally occurring wildfires should be sweeping through redwood forests in the Santa Cruz Mountains every 4 to 15 years.
However, since the colonial era, the policy was to suppress fire completely. And so fire has not happened in more than 150 years, unless it's a prescribed burn.
The last prescribed burn in Henry Cowell occurred 13 years ago, in 2010. By burning piles of brush and small contained fires, the goal is to avoid large destructive fires, like the CZU complex fires that tore through San Mateo and Santa Cruz counties 3 years ago. Once the group is in the woods, Dylan picks spots for the new piles at least 10 feet from living trees, so that the fires don't singe them.
Or if there's a fallen log like this one to our right here, keeping it away from that. That is habitat for a lot of the smaller organisms that live here.
Volunteer Pat Katsky focuses on collecting branches on the side of redwood trees visible from the nearby walking trail. To her, forest management can include both environmental reasons and beauty.
For me, it's a bit aesthetic, but for some people, it's just all about fuel reduction and habitat.
The handheld saws the volunteers use to cut the branches attracts attention from curious kids walking through the grove with their families.
They let the stand cut it.
Oh, okay, well. You having a good... Yeah, you are.
There is an art to pile building. It's sort of like building a big campfire with smaller branches that can burn more quickly placed in the middle of the pile. Medium-sized pieces are placed on top, and then large pieces lean against the outside of the pile to form a ring. Bob Woodruff explains.
That way we kind of helps weight the thing down and hold it in place so that when the fire is burning, the whole thing doesn't just go and send up a cascade of sparks.
Before the pile is armored, however, someone jumps on it to compress it.
I'd give that about a 7 out of 10.
Prescribed burns keep the forest healthy by removing fuel from the forest floor before it builds up.
California has evolved with fire. So we're a kind of an exciting place where we're learning that we actually have to reintegrate fire into stewardship practices.
These piles were burned in early May in Henry Cowell State Park. All that's left are burned circles on the ground, where more debris can accumulate over the next 10 to 15 years until the prescribed burns occur again. For KSQD, I'm Elissa Welle.